Evelyn sat in the dimly lit corner of the café, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee cup. The steam had long since vanished, leaving behind a bitter, lukewarm reminder of the time she'd spent waiting. She glanced at her phone again, no new messages. It had been 3 hours since she'd sent the text, and still, nothing. Across the room, a couple laughed, their voices blending with the soft hum of the espresso machine. Evelyn envied their ease, the way they leaned into each other as if the world outside didn't exist. She couldn't remember the last time she'd felt that kind of connection. Her mind wandered back to the argument, the one that had driven her here. It had started over something trivial, as most of their fights did. A misplaced comment, a misunderstood tone, and suddenly they were shouting, dredging up every unresolved grievance from the past 2 years. "You're never happy, Evelyn," he'd said, his voice cold and distant. "No matter what I do, it's never enough." The words had stung not because they were untrue, but because they were. She wasn't happy, but it wasn't his fault. It was hers. She carried the weight of her own expectations, her own comparisons, like a shadow she couldn't shake. She thought about her friends, Claire with her thriving career, Sarah with her picture-perfect family, Mia with her effortless charm. They all seemed to have it figured out, while Evelyn felt like she was constantly playing catch-up. She tried to measure up, to mold herself into the person she thought she should be, but it only left her feeling emptier. The cafe door chimed, and her heart leapt. But it wasn't him. Just a stranger, shaking off the rain and ordering coffee. Evelyn sighed and pulled out her journal, flipping to a blank page. She'd started writing as a way to untangle her thoughts, but lately, it felt like the more she wrote, the more tangled they became. She began to scribble, her pen moving almost of its own accord. "I keep waiting for my life to start. Waiting for the moment when everything falls into place, when I finally feel like I've arrived. But what if this is it? What if I'm already here and I'm just too blind to see it?" The words hit her like a punch to the chest. She stared at them, her breath catching in her throat. Was that it? Had she been so busy chasing some idealized version of herself that she'd missed the life she was already living? Her phone buzzed, breaking her reverie. It was him. "I'm sorry. Can we talk?" Evelyn hesitated, her finger hovering over the screen. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel the need to rush, to fix things, to prove herself. She took a deep breath and typed back, "I'm at the cafe. Take your time." She set the phone down and looked out the window. The rain had stopped, and the streets glistened under the pale glow of the streetlights. For the first time in what felt like forever, she felt a flicker of something, not happiness exactly, but maybe the possibility of it. She closed her journal and took a sip of her now cold coffee. It still tasted bitter, but there was a sweetness underneath, something she hadn't noticed before. Maybe, she thought, life wasn't about measuring up. Maybe it was about showing up, for herself, for him, for the messy, imperfect reality of it all. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Life isn't about comparing yourself to others or chasing an idealized version of happiness. It's about embracing the imperfect, messy reality of who you are and finding peace in the present moment.